You complete that program, you work through those exercises, you will have more clarity about who you are and what you stand for than the average human being. You will have asked yourself questions that most people will never ask themselves.
All right, guys, welcome to another electrifying episode of ASCC Overflowing Buckets. Today, we've got a true game changer in the house, Eric DeChamps, the dynamo co-host of Living Richly podcast. Get ready to have your mind blown as Eric reveals the secrets to crushing it in your career and your life. Whether you're a CEO or climbing the ladder, Eric's got the golden nuggets you need to stop surviving and start thriving. So buckle up because we're about to dive deep into the art of filling every bucket in your life to the brim and overflow. Let's get a massive welcome to the man who's redefining what it means to have it all. Eric DeChamps. Yay! So here's a little background. So are you familiar with Brendan Burchard?
I am.
At Millette? Okay, so he started a coaching program, I think early last summer, called Ultra. So we'd fly into California to LA on the first day of every month. And he's been sharing his frameworks with us. And one of his frameworks is podcasts. And everyone's like, hey, you should do a podcast. And I was like, for why? And then I was like, you know what? It's an opportunity for me to have amazing conversations with folks like you and have it booked on our schedule, kind of be a fly on the wall and let other folks be a fly on the wall, because that's what I've always wanted, just be a fly on the wall in a great conversation.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. If nothing comes about this, we'll just have amazing conversations. But you know what's been really cool has been folks have reached out to me and they're like, oh, that conversation you had. Oh, I was like, you listened to it? You watched it? How cool is that? And just to see that folks are getting value from the conversations. So
yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, so great. And so how long have you been doing it now? You've been doing it?
Spring.
Yeah, that's exciting. Congratulations.
Put out something once a week. And we've really had amazing conversations with some really cool friends. And we've had some opportunities to visit with folks like you, who we haven't had a relationship with before, which have been extra fun, right? Because I love making new friends.
And you never know what you're going to get. It's a surprise every time.
I know, Eric. So what is the one thing that you want to talk about today? Because I want to talk about how you teach people to do public speaking. But if that's not your, I know you do a lot on personal development. You've helped so many people. I want to make sure that we, at the bare minimum, talk about what you want to talk about today.
And that's awesome. I do a lot of public speaking, and I've done a lot of public speaking training. But it's not central to what I do. That's almost like a side thing. It's part of my business. Primarily, what we do is work with leaders and organizations and help them perform better, right? Both personally and professionally. So if public speaking is a necessary ingredient to their formula, then we're going to help them take that to the next level. I've been doing it, public speaking now. Oh man. 36 years.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, here's my thought on public speaking. If we speak to another human that is not yourself outside of your home, that is public speaking, right?
Yeah. Whether it's on stage or in a boardroom or across the table from someone at a coffee shop.
Exactly. And that skill set, when improved on, is life-changing.
Absolutely.
So
it's so important.
So you really focus on leadership.
We do.
In organizations.
We do. Yeah. We work with, at this point, we've worked with, my team and I have worked with, I would say thousands of leaders, hundreds and hundreds of organizations now. And we work with everything from senior leadership to staff to help the whole business just perform better. So it's a lot of fun. We get to help people follow their dreams, pursue their heart, and overcome the sticking points that are keeping them from achieving their goals and getting what they want, both out of their business and out of their life. more recently started the Living Richly podcast. That's our podcast. It's about 2 years old now. Yeah. We're about to, on the September 25th, we're doing our first live event. We're bringing together over 150 people to do a live recording of the 100th episode. So we're pretty excited about that.
Oh, that is exciting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it,
so really,
how does somebody join that podcast?
So the podcast, you can find all our information on that at livingrichly.me. Is the website. We're on all the usual suspects. We're on all the podcast platforms. We're really big on YouTube. We just broke, I think, 73,000 subscribers on YouTube. So we're seeing some great traction there. But we started that because what we discovered is in all of our coaching work with leaders, business owners, leaders, a lot of them were struggling to build their life outside their business. They put so much energy into their career, into their business, but their life is not being lived as deliberately or as intentionally. And if I had $100 for every leader who's told me, Eric's not what I signed up for, and they're usually referring to where their business has ended up, where their career has ended up, where their life has ended up. And so on our podcast, we talk a lot about building the life you've always dreamed of, being very intentional, very deliberate. If we've always defined business as a vehicle that helps you get what you want out of life, but a lot of folks have never gotten clear on what they want out of life. Right.
So I have a question. So my question is, so you've since you've visited with thousands of people, what would you say is the common denominator that gets their stuck? Like they're stuck, and I'm sure it's pretty common.
Yeah, one thing is I think stuckness is actually a state of mind. We're never as stuck as we think we are. And yet we can experience circumstances and seasons of our lives where we just feel like we're not getting the traction we want. We're not in the relationship that we dreamed of. We're not in the business that we dreamed of, the career that we dreamed of. And so we start to kind of settle into that, even though we're unhappy. It's a sad reality that I think the vast majority of the human population is running, numbing, and distracting themselves, but they're not living on point.
Yes. So how do you get them? So you see these folks, they've settled into it, they've accepted it, and now they're just like in the muck. And how do you get them to recognize that they don't have to sit in that muck and give them a hand out of it?
Well, often something's going to happen that is going to get them to a point where they're sick and tired of being sick and tired. It's unfortunate, but it often takes pain. Pain is probably the most powerful teacher. We tend to be more open to significant change when there is pain in our lives, pain in our business, pain in our marriage, pain in our with our kids, whatever the case may be. We will, until the pain of staying the same, until the pain of staying the same becomes greater than the pain required to change, we often won't make the changes necessary. But when we reach that point, we're ready to make a change. Then it's, where do you go for help? You're going to need outside help, or whether that be from your network, whether your family, your friends, or from folks like us who do this for a living, to help you kind of find your way forward and put a plan in place to get you where you want to be.
Well, I've always believed in mentorship and coaching. Like every time I've needed to level up, right? Because I only know what I know. Right? And my blind spots, my blind spots are real. So to have somebody from the outside in to get there. So, and I think sometimes folks, we're taught in our society to tolerate the pain. Like instead of complaining and maybe even accepting it and being grateful and humble, even though, because that's what people on the outside see. They don't see the pain. Right. So how do you help folks get to that mental space to recognize it is not our responsibility to carry that pain because of somebody else's opinion?
Well, I think, again, it comes down to that wake-up call. Once a person has had that wake-up call and have had now that come to the realization that their current lot in life doesn't need to remain this way, that they actually can make some changes, then it's helping them identify again. Well, I say often, we as coaches, especially in the early stages, we help people get present to the pain that's already there, the pain that they may be numbing, distracting, and running from. We help them get present to it. So we don't put them in pain. We just help them see it for what it
And be
really
aware
is.
of it. So do you sit there
Exactly.
and you poke that pain just to like, do you poke at it? I'm thinking like a doctor, you know, you go see a doctor and you're like, it
Yeah.
hurts. Where does it hurt? Here?
Yeah.
And like, so, and then they start poking at it and you're like, ow, that hurts. So is that kind of what you do as well?
Yeah, I think one of the most powerful tools in any leader's toolkit. You don't have to be a coach to benefit from this, but coaches certainly. It's the part of the artistry of coaching is asking the right questions and helping people see things from a different perspective.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we will ask questions, and like you go see your doctor. So you're a willing participant in this process. People seek us out because they know that they feel stuck or they feel like they're not getting where they want to go. And so we help them explore what it is that's holding them back. We talk about it. What's that costing you? How long's that been a problem? Right? What have you tried to overcome it? What would your life look like if that wasn't a sticking point, or if that wasn't present in your life and you were where you want to go? It's exploring that. So I would say it's more exploring than poking, but there is certainly some moments where, yeah, it hurts because, again, if you've been numbing, running, and distracting, now you got to deal. You got to face the music, and you got to say, this is not what I want. This is not the life that I signed up for. And there's going to be some pain required to change. It's going to be hard to change. Anybody who's ever set a New Year's resolution knows how hard it is to change, right?
Right.
But staying the same is hard. Not getting achieving your goals is hard, right? Choose your hard, choose your pain.
Yeah.
The pain of change and the pain of leaning into your future, it's filled with hope.
Yeah.
It's filled with possibility. Whereas the other pain is just going to keep dragging you down and keeping you trapped in a prison, really, of your own making.
Are you finding now that most people, the way they are, and I'm just curious, are they like running, numbing, or distracting? I'm feeling like with social media and with the platforms and with the ease of our cell phone, it's so easy to distract ourselves. I think alcohol used to be the way we would numb it, right? Or we would run. But are you finding like the distraction is the bigger thing, or how are people like getting away, like not acknowledging and choosing to not see their pain?
Well, I think there are certainly the usual suspects. I think drinking, drugs, right, escapism, doom scrolling, as you describe it on your phone.
Yeah.
Those are all ways of just passing the time instead of making the time count. But you're again, you're escaping, or you're dulling the pain that you're in.
Yeah.
I think what I see a lot, because most of our clients are high performing, very successful business owners and professionals. We work with the best of the best. I often describe our work as like we're like those Olympic coaches that are helping those athletes get just another little bit out.
Split second. Yeah.
Exactly. Just those fractions of a second more. So we're working with highly successful people. And I think in that world, certainly all that we've already mentioned and other distractions come into play. But a big one is just throwing themselves into their work, burying themselves in their business, in their career, hoping that success and more success and money and recognition, all those things, that somehow that is going to make the pain go away. That's going to make the emptiness go away. We're here to tell you, you can climb the corporate ladder your entire life only to find out it's been leaning on the wrong wall the whole time.
Yeah.
Are you living and pursuing the life that you want to be living? Have you defined that for yourself? And until you do, the best you can hope for is coasting and drifting.
So how do you help people design that life? First, identify it, then design it.
Well, we're so passionate about that. I'm glad you asked the question. We're so passionate about that. Again, we are not, when I started out coaching, it really was about business and leadership coaching. And yet people were right from the get-go opening up about other issues, like personal issues that typically would be the realm of personal coaches or life coaches. So we kind of blend all three of those things together, those modalities, because we are working with people who are leaders who own businesses.
Yeah.
And so you need to really be well versed in addressing all those things. But I became so passionate about helping people find their way forward. And we talk about having a mission, vision, and values for a business, but the vast majority of the human population don't have that. They don't have a vision for their life. They haven't identified their personal core values. And so we created a 15-day experience. It's actually a free course online. I can send you all the details. It's called the 15-day challenge. And it's designed to help you get clear on who you are, what you stand for, what are the things that bring you joy, what are the things that drain you, and begin to carve out a life for yourself, a map of what that ideal life looks like, so that you can begin then to make decisions about relationships and family and business and career that align with your dreams, as opposed to just, like I said, waking up every day and putting in time, but you don't really feel like you're going anywhere, right? Because it's the same day on repeat. It's like the playlist is stuck on the same song.
Yeah. And it used to be your favorite, but you're kind of over it now.
You're kind of done. I'm kind of done. I'm that 80s playlist. I need some fresh music here, right?
Oh my goodness. So you help them design, you help them figure that out by asking asking them the questions. I think a lot of folks, if they've gone through their life creating the missions and visions and goals for their business, do they find it difficult to switch over to almost be more self-serving?
They do, for all kinds of reasons. One, again, they may be so absorbed in their business, and when I created this model. It came out of my own personal journey. That it really begins the journey to living your best life as a leader, as a business owner, as an ordinary person in a job, wherever you find yourself, is radical self-acceptance. Coming to accept yourself for who you are. And I use the word radical very deliberately there, because the vast majority of people have a very poor opinion of themselves, are very self-critical, judgmental of themselves, have a very low self-esteem. This is why over 70% of the population, according to recent studies, their entire goal in life primarily is just to fit in, is just to belong somewhere. And so they're constantly showing up the way they think other people want them to show up, so that they'll fit in, but they're not showing up as their authentic self. So radical self-acceptance, accepting yourself, loving yourself, showing yourself compassion. When you begin that work, then you can begin the work of radical self-care.
How do you help people? How do you help people? Sorry to interrupt. How do you help people?
No, go ahead. I could talk a long time.
Oh, no. I love it. I love it. Well, this is so interesting to me, right? I'm very interested in this. So how do you help people discover and feel in their core that they are worthy of this?
That's a journey. That is, there is no pill, course, program, easy button for that one. That is little by little getting very present to the scripts that are running inside of your brain. Scripts, like I call them, there's probably 3 to 5 super scripts that run every person's life. And these scripts are beliefs that they have about themselves and the world that are flawed. And these flawed, incomplete beliefs, skewed beliefs, end up messing their life up. But they are beliefs that all of us have made. So the bad news is we made bad beliefs over time. Family of origin, early work experiences, traumatic things we've experienced, and we attach meaning to these things. And oftentimes the meaning is very disempowering. It's very destructive. But if you made the meaning, the good news is you can unmake the meaning and make a new one.
Right.
And so part of that work is getting present to what are those scripts that are ruining my life, and beginning then to challenge them. Is that really true? And what are other ways I might look at that? And what are counter beliefs I might begin to embrace that are going to empower me to live a better life, live the life I've always dreamed of? We talk about affirmations. We talk about anchoring statements. This is all about rewiring your brain which is a supercomputer that most of us don't even use a very small fraction of it. Rewiring the brain to support you in your journey, as opposed to undermine you because it's full of junk, right? It's got junk in there that's really limiting your potential. So part of that, I mean, that's a big question. How do you help somebody move to radical self-acceptance? For some, it may require therapy. It may require overcoming some past trauma that is really holding them back, and professional help may be needed. I'm a big fan of that. I actually work with a coach who's a therapist. I see her once a month, and have been seeing her for years. And it's part of my rhythm and my discipline of wanting to not leave any potential on the table. Is I don't want any junk in here, debris from the past, to pollute my present and impact my future negatively. So it's, but we do a lot of that work too. We're not therapists, but we are well versed in different methodologies. Again, if that's what's holding a leader back, we want to help them get at that stuff. If it's a business issue, we're going to dive into the business and fix it. If it's a leadership problem, we're going to do that. But our goal, again, is to see leaders live their best life and reach their full potential, and do something really special in the marketplace, right?
So what brought you, it's interesting that you brought up, you don't want your past to impact your present. And I know you said you've been on this journey for 30 years, and before that, in that growth, right? You started what brought you to want to serve others in this way? And what growth have you made to get to where you're at now so that you can serve at the level that you're serving?
Well, I've been serving people. I think that's been in my DNA since I was a kid. I think I've always been wired to help others. I remember bringing people home, like friends from school home that were going through problems at their own home. And it was a running joke in my house. My parents would be like, "Who are you bringing home for the weekend this weekend?" So that's always been part of my DNA. I spent a very, very long time. I'm actually a former, in a past life now, a long time ago. I was actually a pastor and church planter. I did that for 15 years, led a church.
What's a church planter?
So think of it as an entrepreneur in the church world. This is somebody who starts a brand new church from scratch. Right. So I've been leading. It was in the Protestant world, right? It was kind of hip. It would really rock music, and I preached in jeans, and it was pretty hip.
Like the Bible churches.
Something like that.
I'm in Texas. We have
So you have a church on every street corner.
We'll have a church on every corner. You go to an intersection, there's this church, this church, this church, this church. So I'm like, I was just curious. Okay.
Yeah. So I spent a long time in that world helping people, and my path then would eventually lead me to bring all of my training, experience, personal challenges, and growth to become a coach, and been doing that now for a very long time. I have a team of coaches that I lead, and I find I love my work. I don't feel like it's work. It's true purpose and service to others. But even in the pursuit of that, for me, the problem is, we talked about superscripts a moment ago. One that I carried for much of my life was that I was fatally flawed, that something was terribly wrong with me. And that although other people were worthy of grace and forgiveness and second chances, that didn't apply to me, that somehow I was flawed at a really deep level.
Catholic guilt. In my house, my husband grew up Catholic. I grew up Methodist. So we were talking the other day. We were talking about. I'm not talking about Catholic guilt. I'm talking about Methodist guilt.
Yeah. So I had a lot of that from my church background, right? That some of those religious environments, they do a lot of good things. I'm not in that environment anymore. They do a lot of good things, but they also can be a place that it can feed unhealthy thinking in people, especially on the guilt and shame side of things.
Well, so the best way to get folks to do what you need them to do, right? Is to get them terrified about what somebody else is going to think about them.
Right. Fear, guilt, and shame.
And to be terrified of God, that's like next level. That's probably the most brilliant manipulation out there, in my opinion. but that's a
Part of
totally
why I'm not in that world anymore.
total sidebar. And it was fun because you made me, I was thinking John Maxwell, you must be like the ultimate John Maxwell, able to have like, because churches is built on the backs of volunteers, and to be able to inspire and motivate people to give the best of themselves, and the only reward is a thank you. Right? How brilliant. And then you take that into the corporate leadership, right? So you get people who get paid to volunteer to go to the next level journey with you. Brilliant.
You learn, yeah,
Absolutely brilliant.
you to your point, you have to learn to tap into something beyond the reward of a paycheck, right? Because in the volunteer world, that's not a thing. So I'm grateful. When I look back at my background, I just feel it's perfectly prepared me for what I do now. Both as an entrepreneur, I've always been a leader. I've always started things and led things from scratch, even in that world. So that was, that led me to do it in when I left the church world and came into the world of business. I just carried that entrepreneurial mindset over, but it gave me a certain understanding of leadership. I'm a big fan of servant leadership. I don't think leaders are there to lord it over people. I think if org charts were to be properly represented, the leader shouldn't be at the top. The leader should be at the bottom. They should flip them on their upside down and put the leaders at the bottom, supporting their people to accomplish great things. So that's greatly impacted my leadership philosophy and the work that I do. But for the longest time, I was doing all of that, even though I found tremendous joy and purpose in my work. There was a hole. I was leaking because I was doing it partly for the wrong reasons. I was trying to prove that I was okay. Right? Because I believed I was flawed. I was trying to balance the ledger. And a series of events took place. I'm grateful for people in my life, and I had some breakthrough moments where that completely changed, and that's behind me now. And part of why I'm so passionate about helping people overcome, not just be the best leader and lead successful businesses, because I've seen people do that and still be very unhappy, very unfulfilled, and very stuck personally. I want to see them thrive on all fronts.
Absolutely.
Right?
And it makes them better leaders, right? It just makes them better leaders, because because to your point, they are probably the folks that you're working with, the top of the top leaders. They are the ones that are down here carrying everything, everything, the vision, the mission, the goals on their back, right? And they're diving in, and it can feel crushing. But if you give them that strength to be more well-rounded, which we know an egg will hold more weight than a cube. So
right. Yeah, it's if you're an employee or a leader working in an organization, and you're the owners or the owner, the leaders of the organization are unhappy, unfulfilled, you can still do great things, but you're going to feel that.
It'll feel pressured.
You're just going to feel that energy, right? Wouldn't you rather work with someone who's on a path? Listen, it's not about perfection. Perfection's never the goal. But if someone is on a path where they feel happy more of the time, fulfilled more of the time, and when they do go through hardship, because hardship's going to land on everyone's doorstep, throughout our lives, but they have developed a deep sense of resilience, and their bounce back rate is much better than the average person. They're able to then channel that challenge, channel that energy, channel that pain into something more productive, something more powerful, to even able to help other people with the lessons that they've learned. Like it's this whole notion of paying it forward.
I love that you mentioned bounce back rate. Can we just how much time do you have? Like 2 minutes?
Yeah, bounce back rate. I mean, I'd love to talk about that. I think it's not about not getting knocked down. Life is going to knock you down. There are things that are going to happen to us that are going to be difficult, that are going to be sometimes feel like they're crushing you, that you wouldn't wish on anybody. But you're going to get knocked down. But the question is how fast you get back up. And that to me is the true definition of resilience, is the ability to get back in the game, get back in the saddle, and not because I'm numbing, running, or distracting myself from what's happening. I'm actually moving through it, and it's moving through me. And so on the other side of it, if I do that, even with 80% proficiency, I'm going to be stronger, better, smarter, wiser on the other side. I think it's the Dalai Lama who said, suffering or pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. We don't need to suffer. We're going to have periods of that,
Yeah.
but true suffering is a state of mind where we've decided to live in the pain, where we've accepted it sort of as our final resting place. And oftentimes the suffering that we're going through is unnecessary. We've created it in our own minds because of the meaning we've attached to it.
It's a what is it, where you put it upon yourself to carry. And I'm going to guess
prophecy.
and I'm going to guess that has something to do with something in your past that you're carrying that says you're supposed to do that. That bounce back rate, I'm going to guess, if I think about a sport, when a kid falls up, they build the muscle memory to bounce while those splat. What is the common denominator from those who bounce while those who splat and sit there?
I think hope and belief that if I believe that I deserve this, that somehow this is payment for past mistakes made. If I believe that I'm a victim, the victim mindset is probably the worst mindset you can embrace, because it's looking to put the blame everywhere else. It's not looking to take any ownership or responsibility. The victim mindset says I'm powerless, I'm helpless.
Yeah, you gave somebody else the power stick. Like,
you just gave it away.
You gave it away. Nobody took it. You gave it. You gave it up. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Whereas the champion mindset says, okay, this really sucks. This is really hard.
I feel it.
And I need to feel it. We do a lot of work in the realm of mindset with our clients.
Yeah.
Emotional self-regulation. We do a lot of work on that front too. And in that world, we use the phrase, you gotta feel it to heal it. So if you're not feeling it, if you don't let yourself, your emotions, in the word emotion is the word motion. They're supposed to move through you. But in most cases, we repress them, we run from them, we hide from them, so they get stuck in us. And that's what leads to even greater problems down the road, even physical illness, right? There are all the studies that have shown that the mental game affects your physical frame in such a real and a powerful way, destructive way. And so I think the common denominator between those who, to your point, bounce back or splat, I think the splat, there's a mindset there there's a lack of belief and conviction that even the worst circumstances are going to work out ultimately for your good, if you cooperate, if you do the work, if you pay attention to what's happening and get curious about what's trying to happen here, what is this trying to teach me, what is this trying to dislodge inside of me, because sometimes we need to get the tree needs to be shaken, right?
That's so interesting, because earlier we were talking about stuck and you were talking mindset, and now we're like emotion. So it sounds like, correct me if I'm wrong, sounds like when we hit that place, or when it'll happen, where you might lose belief, might lose that hope, right? Because if we strive big, far, go enough, enough is a big word, but we push ourselves, and which I think high achievers, that's what they do. They start out with the belief that they can conquer the world. And then they have those moments where they go, wham, right? And they might,
I can barely conquer myself.
Right? And they might
forget the world.
And in that split second, when they hit, they got to decide if they're going to bounce or if they're going to splat. And emotion. So if they will just get into motion, it sounds like when that belief and that hope will come back.
Yeah, like there's nothing
motion.
Like get into action, right? We talk about imagine a big boulder sitting still in a big field, right? Well, it takes a lot of energy to get it moving, but once it's moving, we just need to keep applying pressure. It doesn't require the same amount of pressure. So and when you're moving, and it's like emotions are the same when they're moving through you, it doesn't always feel good, especially if it's sadness or grief or disappointment or betrayal or whatever you're experiencing in terms of the more negative emotions. But letting them move through you means I'm getting present to what's happening. I'm not running from it. I'm able to identify what's going on. We do work with leaders where at first sometimes they look at me sideways when I bring this up, but I teach them. I use a simple tool called the feelings wheel, and I say, all right. They say, I feel shitty right now. Pardon the language, but they'll say, I feel terrible right now. And I'll say, well, okay, can we describe that a bit more like clearly? Like, can we be a bit more accurate? And often with this simple tool, they're able to actually pinpoint what they're actually feeling and then more readily identify why they're feeling that way.
Yes.
Because your thoughts determine your feelings,
yes.
right? If you want to change your feeling state, you got to change your thinking state.
Well, it's interesting. If you want to change your thinking state, you got to change your feeling state.
They're so connected.
They're so connected. So with one of my dear friends, Rebecca Silence, she boils it down to 5 feelings that we have. So they're going to be, I hope I get this right: anger, guilt, fear, joy, enthusiasm. Everything else is a symptom of those 5 feelings. So if you're feeling guilty, it's probably related to fear of judgment, right?
Right.
If you're angry, so everything boils down. She makes it so incredibly simple. You should connect with her. Rebecca Silence, super cool. This is her one topic about trauma. Her big passion is clearing out generational trauma and how that impacts everything moving forward, which is such a big nugget. It's one nugget of the big thing that you do, right?
Right.
But that is her hyper focus, is that one nugget.
Well, it's so important because there is anchor pain in most people, and
anchor
there's different
pain.
levels.
Expand on that.
Anchor pain. It's pain that's literally anchoring you to your past. It's a moment in time trauma that you experienced in one way or another, and trauma looks different for different people. We often think of the more serious types of trauma, and those are, abuse and all that, and that is horrible. And people that have gone through that have a lot to overcome. And I've seen so many people overcome deep trauma like that. But there's all kinds of other trauma that we also experience, small t trauma, that if we don't address appropriately, we never do we ever fully heal? I think healing is a work in progress.
Absolutely. But you're dragging that anchor.
But we're dragging that anchor. So it's our thinking is stuck back there. Our hopes are stuck back there. A piece of us is not fully present here because it's still living back there.
Yeah. And that's severing those ties.
Exactly. That
was funny too. That was funny in my head.
Yeah. No, that's good. So whatever the case may be, you got people that focus primarily on trauma, like your friend. My coach does a lot of trauma work as well.
Yeah.
That's not the work that we do. Typically, we know when to refer our clients to someone who's a specialist. If
that's brilliant.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
So we're not going to mess. And here, for any life coach that is listening to this podcast, be careful where you tread with clients. Just because you took a course online does not qualify you to go into deep places of a person's psyche and experiment as you try to build your business. Learn to identify when you're in too deep and call in a specialist. Even if that means you risk losing the client, you're not losing the client. You're probably saving them by putting them in the hands of someone who's actually been trained to do that kind of deep work with people.
I love that. And it also fills you up, because then you're coming from abundance. If you're willing to look at their best interests, instead of feeling like you need to keep them, right? You're coming from the possibilities of their abundance. And I think there are folks who, when they first start out, they feel a little scarcity. Like I need that paycheck. Right. And
I get it. I've been there.
And that's everybody. but to have that abundant mindset of saying, hey, they'll refer you tenfolds because they know that they can trust you. I love that. So most folks, I would not say, are in the 0.1%,
Mm,
right?
right.
What are the things, I don't even know, I don't know what, who, what, when, how, where, why, which word to use, but to get from that 1% to that 0.1%. And how do you know when to call in a coach? So for me, I believe you should always have a coach in your life.
Right. Yeah.
Like you should never not have a coach. But how do you know, like, how do you get there? And when do you know, like, when to call in a coach? And how do you know which coach aligns with your needs?
Right. Couple of big questions. When do you know you need one? And then what to look for? All right. Finding the right fit, because that can be tricky. Let me start with fit first.
Okay.
You got to look at a few things. One is you want to look at the track record of the coach in question to say, do they have valuable experience that is related to the needs that I have or the things that I'm trying to accomplish? They don't have to have, I don't believe that a coach can only be effective if they were like the rock star of their industry. I don't believe that to be true. But I do believe that relevant experience where you're looking for help does make sense. Otherwise, you risk enlisting the help of someone who may have read some books and is capable at using Chat GPT, but don't have any actual life experience in the trenches. I think that would be a blind spot. Look at their training. What kind of training have they taken to become a coach? We've all seen it in the world of sport. Just because you're good on the ice doesn't mean you're good on the bench or behind the bench, right?
Right.
Coaching is a very different skill set. So, what type of training have they received? I'd also say look at their testimonials, right? Check out right, what are their clients saying about them? And again, it's tricky in today's world. There's so much falsehood being pushed out on social media. Everyone claiming to be the be all and end all,
Yeah.
and even testimonials that are not even genuine. So it's tricky. But ask if you can speak to some of their clients, right? Get a personal referral. That can really go far. The other part, the last piece I would say on fit is look at their team. Ask about their team. What team do they have behind them to help you get to where you want to go? Are they just a solopreneur? Which there's nothing wrong with that. I know a lot of great coaches that operate just on their own. But if someone who has a team around them, it's just going to be able to offer you more in terms of support. So those are a few things to look for. How do you know when you need one? If you're asking yourself the question, you need one.
Yes.
Okay. Like if you're saying maybe should I get a coach? If you're asking yourself the question, there is something prompting that.
Yeah.
There's an area of stuckness or resistance in your business, in your life, in your leadership that even with your best efforts has resisted change. Your habits, your way of showing up, your way of being, it's resisting change. Keegan and Leahy wrote this great book called Immunity to Change, and it's a powerful book. I highly recommend people read it. But we actually develop immunity. Like your body develops immunity to disease, we actually develop mentally immunity to change. And so it often will require disciplined effort, a support network of sorts, whether that be, like I said, mentors or a community of people that believe in you, family, friends, the like, and a coach
Yeah.
that can help you target those areas of resistance, and help you develop a plan to overcome them, so that you don't just overcome them and then snap back to your old behavior, but that the
Right.
change sticks. That we're talking about transformation versus
Yeah.
just change.
So it's
Right?
interesting. You said immunity to change. That almost sounds like you need to put in a little dis-ease, like a vaccine, like put the dis-ease
Right.
into your body so that you can increase your immunity so that you can make that change.
Right. Right.
Almost.
So
If you can tell, I'm a visual person. So
yeah, I can see that
when you give me these things, all of a sudden I'm seeing this picture in my head. I've got viruses going, I've got diseases going. So that's cool. Yeah.
yeah.
You're really
So
good at
I would say
explaining this, by the
oh,
way.
thank you. Again, if you're asking yourself the question, ask yourself, am I where I want to be in my life, in my business? And if not, why not? And if you've honestly tried multiple ways to get traction and you're not getting traction, what do you have to lose by trying a coach, right? Be careful of coaches that will try to sign you up for these big, massive programs right out of the gate or lock you into long-term commitments. You don't want to do that because you don't know. You don't know if it's going to be a good fit. It's a high trust relationship, and it's like trying to find a therapist. You're probably not going to find your therapist the first visit. You're probably going to have to try 2 or 3 different therapists to find someone that you feel is best aligned to your needs and understands you and has the methodology that is going to serve you well. It's going to be the same with a coach. You're probably going to have to talk to a few of them and experiment a little bit, but be careful of getting locked into these long-term engagements. What if it doesn't work?
Right.
Then what?
So
Right?
it's kind of like, hey, visit with the coach, do one session, follow your gut, see what your gut's taking you, and trust it. Right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay.
We create a short a program called a Jumpstart program. It's like 6 sessions, so you're not locking into anything long term. Small investment, very reasonable investment, but it's designed to help you get traction on a particular business goal, leadership goal, personal goal, and there's no commitment beyond that. So it allows people to take you out for a test drive as a coach and see what it's like.
And probably the other way around too. You're probably taking them for a test ride because not everybody is probably a great fit either.
100%. So it gives both the coach and the client an escape hatch if that's necessary. But in many cases, once we start working with people, it turns into longer term engagements. But if you're asking yourself the question, that it's September now. We're just after Labor Day when we're recording this. I'm not sure when this will air, but we've now officially entered the 100-day dash. It's called. There are about 100 business days between now and Christmas left in 2024, about 100 business days. How are you going to finish your year? Are you going to finish strong? Are you going to finish, think about the goals that you set. Think about the things that you set out to accomplish this year. Are you on track? And if not, what's it going to take to get back on track? If you're having a great year, what would it be like to finish even stronger, right? And often that requires a little bit of help, a little bit of support.
I'm actually going to steal that. I host a mastermind, in-person mastermind on Thursday. And that the topic is really about what are we going to do now to finish our 4th quarter strong so that we can go into our 1st quarter of 2025 strong. And I love this 100-day dash. This is brilliant. I'm taking it.
There you go.
We're
it's not
branding
mine.
that.
I didn't make it up. What's the old saying? When you use someone's stuff, the first time you use it, you give them credit, right? The second time you use their stuff, you say someone wise once said, right? And then by the 3rd time and after that, you're like, as I always say.
I'm going to take that one too. We always, because in our industry, I'm actually a realtor. I don't know if you know this. So I'm actually a realtor.
I saw that on your website.
Okay. Yeah. So we R&D. I always tell people, I'm like, you got to R&D. Quit recreating the wheel. Like it's already master that. If you go to a school, they're going to tell you to master how to make scrambled eggs.
Right.
Master that first, and then you can get creative. So I'm so excited for our time together. Last question is, what question did I not ask that after we hop off, you're going to be like, I wish you would have asked that. I wish we would have, why didn't she go down that? I like tossed that to her and then she let that slide away.
I think one of the most important questions, a question that might be worth exploring and say a few words about, is what are the most important questions to ask yourself, regardless of where you find yourself in life? What are some questions a person can ask themselves to really start the process going?
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of questions contained. It's too big to even jump into now, but that free resource that the 15-day challenge I referenced earlier, whether you do it in 15 days or you do it in 15 weeks or even 15 months, if you work through the exercises, watch the short videos, it's about 30 minutes a day or 30 minutes per exercise. So it's not a huge investment, but it's going to allow you, most of it is reflection. You're going to be asked some really powerful questions that are going to make you think more deeply about who you are and what you stand for. You complete that program, you work through those exercises, you will have more clarity about who you are and what you stand for than the average human being. You will have asked yourself questions that most people will never ask themselves. And we've developed that. When I developed it, my team said, Eric, it's too much. We should be charging for this. You've created way too much like you shouldn't be doing this for free. And I said to them, listen, this is my gift to the world.
Yeah.
I want people to be able to find their way forward. And most people just need a little bit of help.
Yes.
And so this is a free resource. You can find it on our website. I see you've got the link posted there.
Yes.
And there's a great community. We also have a great Facebook group called the Living Richly Nation. You can look it up on Facebook. It's a private group, exclusive. These are folks that follow the podcast or that are on that journey, that path of discovering who they are and living more intentionally. And that's another place that people can get support if they're looking for it or be part of a community that's positive. So much negativity out there. This is a really positive place. One of our members keeps calling it the most loving place on the internet. So I thought that was kind of cool. Yeah.
That's what we need, because it sounds like you surround yourself with a community of folks who are healed and healing, and have hope and belief in the opportunities that our universe gives us. If you believe in
100%.
God,
Show me your friend,
God
and I'll show you your future. Right.
Right. Well, I love this. I love I love that we got this time together. I appreciate you so much for.
Thank you for having me on the show.
Thank you. I appreciate you. And if there's ever anything I can do for you, I would be honored, completely honored. So thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Likewise. Thank you, Bettina.